I just turned 34, and I feel like I've just now figured out what I want to do with my life. But since I turned 18 some 16 years ago now, wow, does time fly fast? Growing up and trying to figure out what I want to do as an adult has always been a constant struggle. I've been a waiter, an athlete, an actor, a content creator, an investor. On top of that, I've tried so many other things that we don't even have time to discuss it all in this video. I'm sure a lot of you watching can relate to this, and this all begs the question, why does it feel so hard to find purpose and meaning as a young adult today? This is what has come to be known as the dreaded Gen Z quarter-life crisis. There's a Japanese philosophy known as ikigai, which is a great visual concept for how to find your purpose. You have a four-circle Venn diagram, essentially consisting of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. Once you can find something that overlaps with all four, that's when you've found the ultimate purpose and fulfillment in life. This is also what the main benefit of growing up and becoming an adult has always been about. As a child, your happiness and fulfillment comes mostly from short-term, hedonistic vices. Playing with toys, enjoying an ice cream, watching cartoons, etc. You're not worried about changing the world or making money, nor should you be. But as you grow up and become an adult, you start thinking about these things more and more. Happiness becomes more about making a positive impact on the world, rather than playing with toys. The fleeting, innocent pleasure of childhood is replaced by the long-term fulfillment of conquering adult challenges. This is what the Ikigai circle is all about. This concept sounds simple enough, and indeed, it is simple in theory. But as with almost every simple self-improvement concept, it's much easier said than done, especially in the modern world. Today's world is more complicated and competitive than ever. It's also changing at a breakneck rapid pace, and this is only going to accelerate with future technologies. When you combine this with the absolute garbage economic conditions boomers left us, finding one discipline that even fulfills 1, 2, or 3 of these Ikigai circles is a lot more challenging than it's ever been. Finding one that fills all 4 feels almost impossible. The first career path I had in mind for myself when I was a young teenager was to make it to the NBA. Of course, in hindsight, it's easy to look back on this as just another typical, unrealistic teenage dream. But when I think about it, I actually got kind of close to Ikigai, or finding my ultimate purpose with basketball. I do love it, I am actually pretty good at it, just not good enough to make the NBA. I would say the world needs it, maybe not in the same way people need doctors or farmers, but considering how much joy and healthy physical activity basketball has given millions of people around the world, there's clearly some value it's added to people's lives. It actually checks 3 of the 4 Ikigai circles for me, just not the 4th one, which is getting paid for it. Speaking of getting paid for it, with how terrible the economy is and how hard it is to get a job these days, checking off even that one, single circle is a challenge, let alone all 4. I remember when I graduated high school into the 2008 financial crash. My boomer parents and millennial peers, being unaware of how bad the economy was, were all trying to convince me that I should actually be excited about becoming an adult. I'd get to live on my own, make my own money, have my own freedom. Yeah, the problem is, those so-called benefits of becoming an adult only apply if the economy isn't a complete and utter hellscape. I remember applying for a normal minimum wage job as a waiter at a restaurant when I was trying to get my first job out of high school. Once again, this was in 2008, after the financial crash. I went to apply, and there was a line of hundreds of people, all waiting to apply for the exact same job. I remember waiting for an hour, just for the line to barely even move. This was long before the term coping was popularized by Gen Z, but even then, I already intuitively realized there was no point in staying to apply for the job. The idea that I was going to get the job out of all those hundreds of people was pure cope. And I specifically remember thinking in my head at the time, screw this. With these odds, I might as well try to make the NBA at this point. At least the NBA is going to pay better than $7 an hour if I do get the job. And I just went home. This leads me to my ultimate point, which is, I think the real reason Gen Z is terrified of growing up and becoming adults is not because they're lazy like some older generations might think. It's just that they've realized, with the current state of the world, there's just no point anymore. Becoming an adult was always a cost-benefit trade-off. You pay the cost of bearing more responsibility in exchange for a greater benefit of freedom, purpose, and fulfillment. But right now, we're basically asking young adults to bear all the responsibility without any of the benefits. As someone who was still in high school in 2008, I have a really unique perspective on all this. Before 2008 happened, I was a freshman in high school, and I remember the juniors and seniors in my school being ecstatic about adulthood. They couldn't wait to get their license and drive. Most started driving literally on their 16th birthday. A lot of them could easily get summer jobs before they even graduated high school. The allure of having your own money and freedom definitely offered a great natural incentive to grow up and become an adult. But by the time I was a senior, I immediately noticed a drastic shift in the mentalities of the freshmen and sophomores who came after me. They rightfully and realistically weren't so optimistic about growing up and becoming adults. They didn't have any opportunities to get jobs or make money post-2008. And as a result, all the adult freedoms and benefits that motivated the upperclassmen before me were no longer available to the underclassmen who came after me. The anti-Gen Z boomer media has gone to great lengths to shame Gen Z for this, calling Gen Z soft, lazy, entitled, and so on. Unfortunately for them, unlike millennials, Gen Z is too smart to be gaslit, shamed, and manipulated into accepting the garbage economic conditions they created. This leads us back to the 4 circles of Ikigai, and what I believe is the real reason Gen Z is in a quarter-life crisis. Past generations were easily brainwashed into completely forgetting the other 3 circles, and only focusing on the bottom one, which is what you can be paid for. But you guys refuse to settle for that. You guys refuse to accept the idea of being reduced to a money-making machine for a soulless corporation. You care about your own personal health and fulfillment. You care about making the world a better place and finding yourself while you're at it. And you absolutely should. Even if we live in a soulless capitalist society that sees you as nothing more than a number on a spreadsheet, a disposable statistic, you refuse to see yourself that way. And I got mad respect for that. This is why 50% of Gen Z wants to just be influencers. For one, because although it might be hard to make it, it's hard to make it in any normal job now anyways. And for 2, because you can actually do things you personally enjoy and benefit the world as well. So here's the challenge that all of you face. The reason you're in a quarter-life crisis and you feel lost in your journey to find purpose is because you're the first generation looking to fulfill all 4 of the Ikigai circles. You won't accept or settle for anything less, and nor should you. But finding something that can check off all 4 boxes is inherently going to be more difficult than finding something that only checks off 1. It's no different than how if you want to find a romantic partner who's smart, funny, nice, and attractive. It's going to be harder than if you only want someone who's attractive. So it's naturally going to take you more time to find out what you want to do, and this is where you start feeling lost and depressed. You hear stories about how previous generations already had careers at 18 and were married by 25. You see the rare exceptions on social media of people younger than you who somehow made it despite these atrocious economic conditions we live in. On top of this, your parents and older relatives who don't understand how the modern world works are constantly pressuring you to still live by traditional values and traditional timelines. This can obviously all be overwhelming, but what if you were to just disconnect from it all? What if you were to just say, screw societal expectations, I'll figure it out in my own time? I've tried to be a content creator on and off for over 10 years now. I've had varying degrees of success here and there, but it's not until now with this channel that I'd say I've really found a message that deeply connects with people about a topic that I personally love to talk about as well. It's actually quite humbling to see that, despite the fact that this is a relatively new channel, the engagement from the community, from you guys, has been absolutely incredible. And thanks to all of your support, we recently even got monetized as well. And after 16 years of being an adult, I've finally found something that fulfills all four of the Ikigai circles for me. But this is exactly the point. It's taken me 16 years of adulthood for me to find myself, for me to overcome my own Gen Z quarter life crisis that started long before Gen Z, or quarter life crisis, even became a word. So, you don't need to feel bad or depressed that it's taking a long time to find your life purpose, because it's supposed to take a long time. It's supposed to be a long and arduous journey filled with challenges and triumphs. Older generations who try to shame you for this just don't understand that the modern world isn't as simple as showing up and asking for a job right out of high school anymore. Sure, you can find rare exceptions of people who made it at a young age, but those people are exceptions for a reason. There's always going to be rare child prodigies in sports, music, or any discipline. It doesn't change the fact that the majority of people who find their purpose had to dedicate over 10 years to improving their skills. So, stop being so hard on yourself and allow yourself to find your purpose on your own timeline. I'll quickly let you in on another secret before I go here. Most of the people I knew growing up who followed societal expectations, got a decent career, and got married and started a family, most of them never found their life purpose and aren't truly happy, despite what they try to show the world. Most of them are stuck in a career they hate and in a marriage that's no better. And the reason for that is because they got pressured into meeting societal expectations before they were ready. They're just as if not more miserable than you, but unlike them, you still have plenty of time, youth, and freedom to find your life purpose, fill all four Ikigai circles, and overcome your Gen Z quarter life crisis.